There are whispers that never died in the hills of Provence. Legends that linger in the salt of the sea, in the crumbling chapels, and in the shadows of catacombs that stretch beneath ancient towns. They speak of a woman, banished, silenced, and erased by the powerful, who crossed the waters carrying secrets too dangerous for the world to keep. That woman was Mary Magdalene. The Church gave her many faces across history: the penitent sinner, the redeemed harlot, the loyal follower who stood weeping at the crucifixion. But in the lore of southern France, she is something far older, far stranger. Here, Mary Magdalene is remembered not as a broken disciple, but as a woman who brought forbidden knowledge to Europe's shores. According to medieval tales, she arrived on the coast of Gaul in a fragile boat without sails or oars, guided only by divine will, or something darker. Her landing place, still called Sainte Mary's de la Mer, became a gateway to centuries of stories. Locals whispered she carried with her not just the teachings of Christ, but bloodlines, relics, and truths that could shake empires. Some said she bore a child, a direct descendant of a sacred union. Others swore she brought secret rites from Jerusalem, rituals the Church later branded heretical. In Provence, caves became her sanctuaries. The most famous, Sainte-Baume, was said to be her place of exile. Pilgrims who entered reported strange sensations, visions of flames, echoes of ghostly chanting, the sensation of being watched. Some returned claiming they had seen her spectral figure in white, hair flowing like a river of shadows, still weeping, still praying. Others never returned at all, but darker rumors spread beneath these holy legends. Folk stories describe how the Magdalene's presence tainted the land, drawing restless spirits and curses to those who defied her. In some villages, women who dreamt of her were said to fall into trances, speaking in tongues unknown to Christendom. The Church, uneasy with the devotion she inspired, worked to twist her image, turning the sacred bearer of hidden wisdom into a repentant prostitute, stripping her of authority and chaining her memory. Yet the people of Provence would not let her vanish. Secret societies preserved her name, embedding her likeness in cryptic carvings, in coded manuscripts, and in sacred geometry of chapels built in her honor. Even today, the Black Madonnas of France, mysterious statues with darkened faces, are linked to her, symbols of an older, more primal form of devotion. The line between devotion and fear blurred over centuries. Some chroniclers claim that Mary Magdalene did not simply preach, but performed strange rites in the caves, channeling powers forbidden by Rome. Alchemists believed she brought the key to immortality, hidden in veiled texts. Others, more sinister, whispered that her relics, bones and locks of hair preserved in churches, were not holy objects at all, but talismans feeding off the faith and fear of the masses. Even the Templars were said to have carried her secrets. They built chapels aligned with stars, hidden sanctuaries where initiates swore oaths before her image. When the Templars were destroyed, rumors spread that the true treasure they guarded was not gold, but the Magdalene's legacy, a gospel, or perhaps a bloodline, that threatened the foundations of Rome itself. To this day, her presence haunts the land. Pilgrims still walk to Sainte-Baume, climbing the rocky paths where monks claim her tears carved rivulets into the stone. Tourists enter chapels only to feel sudden chills, as though someone unseen lingers in the pews. And in certain Provençal villages, locals still pass down warnings: do not mock the Magdalene, for those who disrespect her name are cursed with madness, with sickness, with strange accidents that defy reason. Mary Magdalene's memory is not simply that of a saint. In the shadows of ancient France, she is both holy and terrifying, a figure erased by the Church, preserved by the people, and wrapped in mysteries that remain unsolved. Was she a disciple carrying wisdom? A mother carrying blood? Or a sorceress carrying powers that kings and popes feared? The truth may be buried in those caves, in relics locked behind stone, or in whispers carried by the Mistral winds across the valleys of Provence. But one thing remains certain: in France, Mary Magdalene never truly died. She lingers in every shadow, every shrine, every secret, an eternal presence the Church could not erase, and perhaps was never meant to. What would you believe if a woman, erased from Scripture, was said to have landed on the shores of France with no oars, no sails, and no crew, yet survived the impossible voyage? Would you call it divine intervention, or the mark of something far more dangerous? In the legends of Provence, the story begins not in triumph, but in exile. A fragile boat drifts from the Holy Land, carrying passengers who were never meant to reach another shore. At its center is Mary Magdalene, her face hidden, her fate uncertain, her name already whispered with suspicion. She should have perished at sea. Yet somehow, she did not. She arrived in Gaul. And with her came secrets the Church never intended to leave Jerusalem. Why France? Why here? Why then? The landing place is still remembered, Sainte-Marie-de-la-Mer, a windswept coastal village whose very name bears the weight of memory. Locals tell of how she stepped onto the sand, barefoot, exhausted, but carrying with her a presence so heavy that fishermen fell to their knees. Some say she held a child, swaddled in cloth, a bloodline destined to unsettle kings. Others say she brought scrolls, gospels hidden from the eyes of Rome, words that gave women power equal to men. Still others whisper she brought relics, bones, oils, or something stranger, that pulsed with energy no priest could sanctify. Which of these stories is true? Or are they all fragments of something even more disturbing? The people of Gaul did not see her as a refugee. They saw her as a prophetess, a vessel of mystery. And yet, why did the Church move so quickly to bury her story? Why did Rome turn her from a teacher into a prostitute, from a bearer of wisdom into a figure of shame? Was it only to weaken her memory, or to keep hidden what she carried across the sea? Her journey inland only deepens the questions. Legends say she retreated to a cave in the forested mountains, Sainte-Baume, where the air is thick, the silence almost alive. Pilgrims who climbed there reported visions, shadows forming on the walls, voices murmuring in unknown tongues, tears streaming for no reason. Was it her spirit haunting them? Or did the cave itself absorb something she left behind? For centuries, the people of Provence held her memory close, even as the Church reshaped it. They built chapels, carved her likeness, and passed down stories in hushed tones. But these weren't the stories preached from pulpits. These were darker, stranger tales, of a woman whose presence could heal or curse, whose prayers could summon light or shadow, whose very name carried power. Ask yourself this: why would ordinary villagers cling to such dangerous legends? Why would they risk excommunication, or worse, to keep her memory alive? Unless they had seen something with their own eyes. The trail she left is not one of certainty, but of questions. A boat without oars. A cave alive with voices. Relics guarded like weapons. A woman rewritten by history but never erased from the land where she walked. So who was she? A disciple abandoned by Rome, a prophetess guarding a bloodline, or the carrier of forbidden knowledge that even now seeps through France's stones, waiting for those brave, or foolish, enough to seek it? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: Mary Magdalene did not merely arrive in France. She changed it. And the shadows of her arrival still stretch across the country's oldest legends, daring us to look closer. But the closer you look, the more dangerous the questions become. If Mary Magdalene truly stepped onto the shores of France, then why did she retreat into the mountains? What secret could have been so dangerous that even the wilderness offered safer refuge than the world of men? The legends point us to a cavern hidden deep within the forested massif of Provence, a place called Sainte-Baume. For centuries it has been whispered about not as a cave, but as a sanctuary, a prison, and perhaps even a tomb. Here, the Magdalene is said to have spent her final years, away from the eyes of Rome, away from the courts of kings. But what happened inside that hollow of stone? Pilgrims who made the climb to Sainte-Baume did not return with ordinary testimonies. They spoke of strange chills, sudden visions, of torches that sputtered and shadows that moved when no one was near. Some claimed to hear weeping, steady and low, as if the very rock itself mourned. Others described seeing a figure cloaked in white, hair flowing, arms raised toward the ceiling as though commanding unseen forces. Was it an apparition of Mary Magdalene herself, or something far older that claimed her name? Why is it, then, that this cave became one of the most important pilgrimage sites in France? Why would the Church sanction the worship of a woman they had already tarnished with the label of sinner? Unless they feared what would happen if they didn't. Unless this cave held power that could not be ignored, power that had to be absorbed into the faith rather than cast away, the cave itself seems to resist explanation. Geologists note strange formations, stalactites shaped like tears, rivulets of water that never dry. Locals say the stones are alive, recording the prayers and grief of the Magdalene, releasing them in whispers to those who dare enter. How does a cave produce weeping sounds when no wind stirs? Why do some visitors collapse, unable to breathe, as though the air itself rejects them? There are darker accounts, the kind the Church never canonized. In certain medieval chronicles, it is written that women would gather in secret at Sainte-Baume under the cover of night. They claimed visions of the Magdalene appeared to them, not as a penitent, but as a teacher. She revealed chants, gestures, and rites, rituals that gave them power beyond what the priests allowed. Were these simply delusions born of longing, or traces of an older tradition, one the Church worked tirelessly to erase? Even today, the cave is heavy with presence. Monks keep watch over it, guiding pilgrims up steep paths lined with ancient trees. Yet strange reports persist, electronic devices failing, photographs showing streaks of light, visitors overwhelmed by sudden floods of sorrow they cannot explain. If Mary Magdalene only prayed here, why does the cave feel like a place where worlds overlap? Why does it feel less like a sanctuary, and more like a portal? Ask yourself, if a woman who carried forbidden knowledge truly hid in this place, what might she have left behind? A gospel sealed in stone? Relics infused with power? Or worse, something intangible, a presence that still lingers, reaching out to those who dare climb the mountain in search of her? The Church declared the Magdalene repentant. The people declared her holy. But in the darkness of Sainte-Baume, the stones themselves seem to tell another story. A story of endless weeping, of restless energy, of a secret that refuses to stay buried. So what was the cave of Sainte-Baume? A hermit's retreat, a shrine to the divine feminine, or a doorway into something far more dangerous, a place where the Magdalene's memory still bleeds into our world? The answers are buried in stone, in echoes, in shadows that refuse to fade. And for those who enter, one question lingers long after they leave. Was the cave haunted by Mary Magdalene, or by the truth she carried? Why does France guard more Black Madonna statues than almost any other land on earth? Why do so many of them appear not in great cathedrals but in small, hidden chapels tucked into the hills of Provence, the very region where Mary Magdalene is said to have walked? And why are these figures always cloaked in mystery, their faces carved in shadows, their eyes fixed in silence, as if keeping a secret that has never been spoken aloud? The Black Madonnas are unlike any other Christian icons. Their skin is dark, their expressions solemn, their presence both maternal and forbidding. Historians struggle to explain them. Were they darkened by candle smoke? Were they borrowed from older, pagan goddesses, reshaped by Christianity to hide their origins? Or could they be veiled images of Mary Magdalene herself, preserved in plain sight, shielded under the guise of the Virgin? In the villages of southern France, the whispers persist. Locals say these Madonnas are not of Mary the Mother, but Mary the Companion, the Magdalene. The woman Rome tried to bury beneath labels of shame. Yet in stone and paint, she endured. She became the Black Madonna, the mother of mysteries, the figure who stares back with eyes that know what the Church refused to confess. But what secret could those statues be guarding? Some believe they represent Magdalene's descent into shadow, her exile, her time in the cave, her retreat into the darkness of Sainte-Baume. Others insist the statues are proof of a hidden bloodline, carved in secrecy by those who believed her child carried sacred lineage into Europe. More troubling still are those who say the statues were used in rituals, treated not as symbols but as vessels, objects infused with energy that could heal, curse, or summon forces beyond the control of priests. Why do so many pilgrims report strange sensations before these statues? Why do candles flicker violently in their presence? Why do visitors collapse into tears as though struck by unseen waves of grief? And why, in certain villages, do locals refuse to let the statues leave, even when the Church demands it? Could it be that these Madonnas are more than art, that they are guardians of a truth the world was never meant to know? The patterns are impossible to ignore. Many Black Madonnas are placed in chapels aligned with the stars, built on ancient sites of worship long before Christianity took hold. Their positioning suggests an older knowledge, one that merges the Magdalene with the rhythms of the heavens. If so, then who placed them there? And what did they know that we have forgotten? The Templars, accused of heresy and destroyed by Rome, were said to venerate a mysterious female figure. Was it the Virgin? Or was it the Magdalene, veiled in shadow, preserved in their secret rites? When the Templars fell, the rumors spread, their treasure was not gold, but knowledge, a gospel, a bloodline, a presence hidden in the statues left behind. Could the Black Madonnas themselves be fragments of that treasure, scattered across France as a map to a forbidden legacy? Every question pulls the mystery deeper. Why dark skin in a culture that glorified light? Why solemn, watchful faces instead of radiant joy? Why so many concentrated in the very land tied to Magdalene's exile? Perhaps the answer is this: the Black Madonnas are not mistakes, not accidents of smoke or symbolism. They are masks. And behind those masks lies the memory of Mary Magdalene, not erased, not destroyed, but hidden where only those who dared to look closer could find her. So the question remains: what are the Black Madonnas? silent mothers, hidden disciples, or guardians of a legacy too dangerous for the world to face, their eyes do not answer. Their faces do not move. And yet, standing before them, many swear they feel the same thing, that the Magdalene is still here, watching, waiting, her story preserved in stone that cannot be silenced. Why would a powerful order of knights, sworn to defend Christendom, risk everything to protect a woman whose name the Church sought to erase? Why would the Templars, whose wealth and influence terrified kings, build hidden sanctuaries aligned with the stars, placing cryptic carvings and statues that no ordinary priest could decipher? The answer, some whisper, lies in Mary Magdalene. For centuries, the Templars were accused of heresy, blasphemy, and worshipping a mysterious female figure. But what if their so-called heresy was not rebellion, but devotion? What if the figure they revered was not the Virgin Mary, but Mary Magdalene herself, a woman erased by Rome, whose teachings and bloodline they were sworn to protect? Scattered across France are the remnants of Templar chapels, stone fortresses, and hidden crypts. Some contain carvings of women in flowing robes, holding scrolls, or gesturing toward unseen heavens. Could these be Magdalene herself? Or symbolic guardians of knowledge that threaten the very church the Templars served? And what of the relics? The Templars were rumored to have guarded objects of extraordinary power, artifacts said to carry the essence of Magdalene's presence. Bones, locks of hair, or perhaps even scrolls containing forbidden gospels. Were they sacred treasures, or keys to something darker, something that could upend faith itself? Why did the Church move so decisively to destroy the Templars? Was it only fear of their power, or fear of what they protected? Some chroniclers hint that the trials and executions were a cover-up, a campaign to erase knowledge that Rome could not control. Could Magdalene's secrets have been at the heart of it all? Legend suggests the Templars were not just guardians, they were students of her teachings. They learned her rituals in hidden sanctuaries, passed down coded instructions, and encoded her legacy into the very stones of their chapels. Was it alchemy? Sacred geometry? Or a combination of faith and power the Church feared to recognize? Ask yourself this: if a woman could influence the course of empires, inspire secret orders, and be venerated in shadows while condemned in public, what does that say about her power? How much did Mary Magdalene know, and how far did she plan ahead, leaving traces in places only the initiated could interpret? Even after the Templars' destruction, traces of their devotion remain. Black Madonna statues, secret carvings, crypts aligned with constellations, all suggest that someone continued her work. Someone continued her memory. Someone kept her story alive, even as Rome tried to erase it, and the more scholars search for rational explanations, the more inexplicable it becomes. Why do certain Templar sites hum with energy that cannot be measured? Why do artifacts vanish without explanation? Why do local legends describe ghostly figures, lights in abandoned chapels, or voices reciting prayers no one alive remembers? The pattern is unmistakable. Mary Magdalene's presence was never limited to the cave, to Provence, or to a single lifetime. It extended into the hands of knights, into the hearts of secret societies, and into the very fabric of the land itself. So the question remains, what exactly were the Templars protecting? A relic? A gospel? A bloodline? Or a power so dangerous that Rome dared not allow it to surface? Whatever it was, one thing is certain: Mary Magdalene's shadow stretched far beyond her time, reaching into the orders, the stones, and the secrets that still lie hidden beneath France. And for those who seek the truth today, the question is simple and terrifying. What would happen if we found it? What if the stories about Mary Magdalene were more than legend? What if they concealed a bloodline so powerful that kings, popes, and secret societies feared it? Could a single woman, erased by history, have carried a legacy so potent that it threatened the foundations of faith itself? The whispers speak of a child, hidden from the world, born of Magdalene's union with a sacred figure whose identity was never recorded. Some claim this bloodline carried a divine right, a secret knowledge encoded in DNA, passed down through generations. Others suggest it was a key, a living vessel of truths the Church could never tolerate. Why would the Church go to such lengths to erase her memory, if she were merely a follower? Why destroy entire orders of knights, persecute devotees, and rewrite scripture? Could it be that they feared the child, the lineage, or the teachings that accompanied it? Provence became the cradle of these mysteries. In remote villages, the local people preserved rituals the Church denounced as heretical. Women and men would gather in caves, grottos, and hidden sanctuaries, reciting chants that invoked Mary Magdalene's name. Some spoke of ceremonies that mirrored the lost Gospels, blessings of blood, prayers for protection, rituals to invoke hidden powers. Others whispered that these rites could awaken abilities in the chosen, powers inherited from Magdalene herself. But what kind of powers? Accounts are fragmented, cryptic, and terrifying. Some participants claimed visions of angels and demons coexisting, figures offering knowledge of life and death, secrets of healing and destruction. Others reported shadows that moved independently, whispers that answered questions before they were asked, or sensations of energy passing through the body with a force that left them trembling for days. Why did these rites persist for centuries, hidden from the world? Why did the villagers continue them in secret, even as the Church sought to destroy the memory of Magdalene? Perhaps because they had witnessed proof, visions, miracles, or curses, that convinced them this woman's bloodline was more than legend. Perhaps because to honor her was to tap into a power the Church feared could challenge Rome itself. Some scholars claim that these bloodlines intermingled with local nobility, seeding dynasties in plain sight. Could it be that descendants of Magdalene still walk among us, their identities carefully concealed, carrying the knowledge and influence of a woman history tried to bury? And if so, why have we not noticed the signs, symbols in architecture, mysterious relics, hidden carvings that point to a lineage still alive? The rituals themselves were no idle practice. They were precise, guarded, and terrifying in their intensity. Candles burned in circles, chants repeated in languages lost to time, sacred oils smeared on stone altars, relics invoked with names that had been erased from the canonical texts. And the most daring claim that has survived, that those who completed the rites experienced a transformation, a communion with something beyond human comprehension. Ask yourself, if the Church had known the true nature of these rites, would they have allowed Sainte-Baume, the Black Madonnas, or the Templar chapels to survive? Or were they forced to coexist with a power they could not destroy, a shadow of Magdalene that lingered in the world long after she had left it? So the question remains, what is the true legacy of Mary Magdalene? A bloodline carrying divine knowledge, a secret ritual meant to awaken hidden power, or a warning, a truth so dangerous that history buried it beneath stone, shadow, and silence? And if we dared to seek it today, would we survive what we found? Why do the villagers of Provence still whisper her name in fear? Why do some local families refuse to enter certain caves, chapels, or forests, claiming the Magdalene's wrath lingers there? the stories are chilling. Even centuries after her death, or disappearance, those who dared to mock her memory, desecrate relics, or disbelieve the old rites were said to suffer strange fates. Sudden illness, inexplicable accidents, or madness overtaking the strongest minds. Was it divine punishment, or something older, darker, embedded in the land itself? Legends tell of travelers who ignored warnings at Sainte-Baume. They entered the cave seeking adventure, relics, or proof of the mystical Magdalene. Some emerged days later, babbling in tongues no scholar could decipher. Others were never seen again, swallowed by the mountains, the forest, or something in between. How much of these tales is superstition, and how much is the lingering power of the woman who walked those paths centuries ago? Even the Black Madonnas seem to guard against disrespect. Pilgrims who ignored rituals reported candles extinguishing on their own, doors slamming without wind, or shadows forming figures in the corner of the eye. Some claim whispers followed them for miles, voices repeating cryptic warnings they could never forget. Could a statue be alive with her essence, or is it merely human fear projecting her image? And what of the relics scattered across Provence? Bones, hair, vessels once hidden by secret societies or Templars, some swear these objects radiate a presence. Touch them, and you feel a pulse under your fingers, a heartbeat echoing through the soul. Take them lightly, and the curse is said to follow. What kind of power could survive centuries, waiting for someone foolish enough to disturb it? Ask yourself, why do these stories persist, even in a modern world that prizes reason? Why are the same legends repeated in town after town, cave after cave, across Provence? Is it coincidence, or a warning written in the stones and air by a woman history refused to forget? Some believe these curses are protective, an insurance policy, ensuring the memory of Magdalene survives even as the Church sought to erase her. Others whisper darker possibilities, that she, or something she left behind, still watches, enforcing her will across the centuries, a presence both holy and terrifying, forgiving only those who honor her secrets. Pilgrims speak of dreams too vivid to ignore. Nights where the wind carries faint chants, where shadows twist into the outline of a woman in flowing robes. When they wake, small objects are moved, candles burn to ash, faint footprints in dust where no one walked. Is it imagination, or a sign that her essence lingers, refusing to rest? And then there are the questions no one dares ask aloud. Could the bloodline she carried be cursed? Could those descended from her still bear the weight of powers and knowledge too dangerous for ordinary life? Could they unknowingly trigger the same forces that toppled kings, terrified knights, and silenced entire orders? In Provence, the Magdalene is not dead. She is memory, warning, and shadow. Every step in the mountains, every glance at the Black Madonnas, every ritual whispered in secret keeps her alive. And the more we search for rational explanations, the more elusive she becomes, hiding in the spaces between history, myth, and fear. So ask yourself, if Mary Magdalene truly lingered, would you dare enter her world? Would you survive the curses she left behind, or vanish, another name whispered by the winds of Provence? What would you do if you discovered a relic of Mary Magdalene, an object touched by her hands, kept hidden for centuries, and feared by the Church itself? Would you study it, revere it, or flee in terror? Across Provence, relics attributed to Magdalene are said to exist: bones, hair, oils, vessels, and even in modern times, they inspire fascination, devotion, and fear. Those who have glimpsed them rarely speak openly. Some whisper of an electric charge, a sensation of being watched, or visions that arrive unbidden. Others vanish, leaving only cryptic notes or sudden madness as a testament to the relic's lingering power. Why would objects so small hold such influence? Some historians claim it is faith alone, but the patterns defy reason. Electronic devices fail near certain relics. Photographs capture streaks of light that cannot be explained. Visitors feel chills, hear voices, or see shadows in forms that vanish when approached. Could these be miracles, or warnings left deliberately by Magdalene herself? And then there are the Watchers. Secret societies, scholars, and descendants of Templar lines are said to still guard her legacy. They monitor those who seek the relics, ensuring only the worthy, or the sufficiently bold, come close. But what does it mean to be worthy in this context? Is it devotion, knowledge, or simply courage? Or could it be something darker, obedience to a set of rules no living person fully understands? Ask yourself, what is the true power of a relic? Does it lie in the object, in belief, or in the memory of the woman who wielded it centuries ago? Some claim that relics of Magdalene hold knowledge encoded in forms lost to time, a map of hidden gospels, rituals, or even the path of her bloodline. Others insist the relics are traps, safeguarding secrets so potent that misuse could destroy lives. Modern seekers, researchers, pilgrims, even treasure hunters, have reported encounters that blur the line between myth and reality. They speak of visions of a woman in white, of whispers that answer unspoken questions, of sensations of energy that surge through their bodies. Could this be the Magdalene herself, reaching across centuries? Or is it the cumulative power of faith, ritual, and fear manifesting in inexplicable ways? The relics are not the only traces she left behind. Manuscripts, carvings, statues, and even the alignment of ancient chapels carry encoded messages. Some suggest that anyone who deciphers them might unlock knowledge the Church considered dangerous, knowledge that could upend history, religion, and power itself. But the greater question remains, if Mary Magdalene's presence can still affect the world today, are we safe in probing it? Or do her relics, her statues, and her hidden rituals carry consequences we cannot predict? In Provence, the air is thick with memory. Pilgrims feel it when they approach her cave. Scholars sense it in hidden manuscripts. Even those who claim skepticism cannot deny the patterns, echoes of a woman who refuses to be forgotten. A woman who, despite centuries of erasure, continues to influence the living world. So, ask yourself, if you discovered a relic of Mary Magdalene, would you take it in your hands, or step away, fearing the unseen force that still lingers behind her shadow? Would you dare to uncover the knowledge she protected, or risk awakening a power the world is not ready to face? Because in Provence, nothing connected to Mary Magdalene is truly inert. Nothing is ordinary. And nothing is safe. What if Mary Magdalene's story did not end in Provence centuries ago? What if her presence, her teachings, and her bloodline were still alive today, hiding in plain sight among the hills, villages, and cities of France? Legends suggest that her lineage survived, carefully concealed from the world, preserved by secretive families, Templar descendants, and clandestine societies. Could it be that some of today's most influential people carry her blood unknowingly, an inheritance of forbidden knowledge, sacred rituals, and power long erased from official history? Some scholars point to subtle signs, peculiar alignments of estates, patterns of inheritance, cryptic symbols carved into chapels, and obscure references in old manuscripts. Could these all be breadcrumbs left intentionally by those guarding Magdalene's secret? And if so, what happens to anyone who stumbles too close, uninvited? Reports persist of strange occurrences in villages tied to her legacy. Children born in certain families are said to display unusual intuition, visions, or an almost unnatural understanding of ancient rites. Locals treat these children with reverence and fear. Could this be a sign that Magdalene's bloodline carries more than lineage, perhaps power, knowledge, or a warning embedded in genetics itself? And what of her relics, preserved in chapels and monasteries? Even in modern times, they inspire inexplicable phenomena: sudden gusts of wind in empty rooms, candles igniting without flame, voices whispering names long erased from history. Are these echoes of Magdalene herself, or of those who continue her work across centuries? The question becomes more chilling. If her bloodline is still alive, what would it mean for the world if it were discovered? Would her secrets rewrite history, religion, or science? Could the power attributed to her, long-thought myth, be unleashed again? Or is it already influencing events quietly, subtly, in ways we cannot detect? Ask yourself, are the people you see every day truly ordinary, or could they be descendants of a woman the Church tried to obliterate? Could her influence shape their thoughts, their choices, their destinies, without the world ever knowing? And what of you? Could proximity to this hidden bloodline awaken something within, or invite consequences beyond comprehension? Even the Black Madonnas and Templar sites act as silent guardians, marking territories, encoding warnings, and guiding those attuned enough to perceive them. Each statue, each crypt, each carved symbol is a reminder. Magdalene was not merely a woman of the past, she was a force, one that refuses to be forgotten. So the shadows of Mary Magdalene stretch further than we dare imagine. They touch families, villages, rituals, and relics. They permeate stone, air, and memory itself. And as history's veil thins, as seekers probe deeper into the caves, the chapels, and the hidden texts, one question becomes unavoidable: if Mary Magdalene's bloodline still walks among us, carrying secrets Rome could not destroy, would humanity survive the truth, or become another name whispered in the winds of Provence? Because some mysteries are not meant to be uncovered, and some women are never truly gone. What if everything we believed about Mary Magdalene was a lie? What if the woman who followed Christ, whose story was rewritten, erased, and condemned, left behind a legacy so profound it could still reshape the world? Provence, with its caves, Black Madonnas, and hidden chapels, holds traces of that legacy. But the true secret lies in what the Church could not control: her teachings, her bloodline, her knowledge. The Templars, her secret disciples, hid it in plain sight. They encoded it in stone, ritual, and myth, knowing that one day, seekers would rise again. Why do pilgrimages still lead to Sainte-Baume? Why do candles flicker when no wind blows, shadows twist in ways impossible to explain, and whispers echo where no one speaks? Are these signs merely superstition, or the lingering presence of Mary Magdalene herself, watching, guarding, and testing those who dare pursue her truth? Some claim her bloodline survives to this day, hidden among families, obscured in plain sight. Could these descendants carry knowledge, power, or a warning that, if uncovered, could shake the foundations of faith, history, and society itself? And if her lineage is real, what responsibilities or dangers does it impose upon them, and upon anyone who crosses their path? Her relics, long hidden or scattered across chapels, are said to hold a fragment of her essence. Bones, hair, vessels, they pulse with an energy that defies logic. Visitors report sensations of heat, pressure, or even voices speaking in ancient tongues. Could it be a remnant of divine power, a curse, or a secret warning meant only for those brave, or foolish, enough to seek it? The Black Madonnas stand sentinel, silent yet imposing, their dark faces carved with expressions that challenge comprehension. Are they guardians? Mirrors of Magdalene herself? Or keys to understanding a legacy the Church tried, and failed, to erase? Even modern-day researchers, skeptics, and seekers report uncanny coincidences, manuscripts that appear only when needed, symbols that repeat across centuries, events that suggest intelligence guiding those who probe too deeply. Are these coincidences, or the subtle hand of a woman who refuses to be forgotten? Ask yourself, if you were confronted with her true story, her hidden bloodline, her forbidden knowledge, would you embrace it, or fear it? Could humanity withstand the revelation that Mary Magdalene's influence never ended, that the shadows she cast still touch our world, and that the secrets she protected may be far more dangerous than anyone could imagine? History says she was a follower, a penitent, a sinner redeemed. Provence whispers otherwise. It whispers of a woman who carried the sacred and the profane, who challenged authority, who survived exile, and whose shadow lingers across centuries. And so the question remains, was Mary Magdalene merely a disciple of Christ, or something far more? Was she a mother of secrets, a guardian of forbidden knowledge, a prophet whose bloodline still walks among us? And most terrifying of all, if you dare to look closely enough, will you recognize her, or become part of the legend yourself? Because some stories are not meant to end, some legacies never fade, and some women are never truly gone. What if Mary Magdalene never truly left Provence? What if, despite centuries of erasure, persecution, and legend, her presence still lingers, watching, guiding, judging? The caves of Sainte-Baume, the hidden chapels, the Black Madonnas, the relics, they are more than historical remnants. They are markers of a power that refuses to die, a shadow that stretches beyond the limits of time. And every person who dares to search for her leaves a trace, becomes part of a story that has been unfolding for 2 millennia. Could the whispers in the wind, the shadows in the corners, and the chills that run down the spine be echoes of Mary Magdalene herself? Or are they manifestations of the knowledge she carried, secrets so potent that even centuries later, they defy understanding? Her bloodline, if it survives, is hidden in plain sight. Descendants may walk among us, unaware of the heritage, unaware of the rituals and teachings that could reshape the world. Could a single touch, a single word, a single relic awaken something dormant, something too powerful for ordinary life? Even the Church, which sought to silence her, could not fully erase her influence. The Templars, secret societies, and villagers who preserved her memory ensured that her legacy endured. It is encoded in stone, in ritual, in manuscripts, and in the silent faces of statues that continue to watch those who approach. Ask yourself, what is power if it survives centuries in the shadows? What is knowledge if it is forbidden, hidden, and dangerous? And what is faith if it ignores a truth so profound that it could challenge the very foundation of belief? Provence itself seems alive with her presence. Pilgrims report seeing figures in white, hearing chants that no one else speaks, and experiencing visions that defy reason. Some leave with enlightenment. Some leave with madness. Some do not leave at all. Could this be her testing humanity, sifting those who are worthy from those who are not? And now, as you watch, as you listen, as you read these words, the question becomes personal. What would happen if you sought her out? Would you find a saint, a sinner, a prophet, or something far older, far stranger, and far more dangerous than history has ever recorded, because Mary Magdalene's story is not confined to the past. Her shadow stretches into the present. Her secrets remain buried, yet ready to awaken. And some say that those who disturb them, who push too far into her mysteries, never return the same. So look closely. Listen carefully. The caves, the chapels, the statues, they remember. The relics, they feel. And the woman behind them, Mary Magdalene, may still be waiting, watching, deciding who is ready to witness the truth, and who will become another whisper in Provence, lost to history, forgotten by the world, yet remembered by her. The question remains, are you ready to face her legacy? Because some women never truly die, and some shadows never fade. Mary Magdalene's story does not end here. Her shadow lingers in the caves of Sainte-Baume, in the silent Black Madonnas, and in the relics carefully guarded by those who still remember. Centuries of erasure cannot silence her entirely. The bloodline, the rituals, the secrets, some still survive, hidden from the eyes of the world, waiting for those bold enough to uncover them. So the question remains, will her mysteries ever be fully revealed, or are we destined to live in a world shaped by her influence, unknowingly guided by a woman who has refused to be forgotten for 2,000 years? History calls her a disciple. The Church calls her a sinner. Provence calls her something else entirely, a force. A legacy. A shadow that never dies, and if you listen closely, you might hear her whisper still, warning, guiding, watching, because some stories never end, some legacies never fade, and some women are never truly gone.